Hello, everyone. My name is Monica Gleberman, and you're listening to Silence on Set podcast. Guys, I'm so excited to speak with you.
Hi.
So I guess I'll just jump right in. Peace in the Valley, obviously, is I feel like even in the past decade would have been a timely film, but it's very timely, obviously, right now. So what was it like? Were you guys nervous at all a little bit? Were you like, how did you feel, especially with like the opening scene? I guess I'll start there with that scene because it could be a little nerve-wracking because of stuff that's going on so currently, but I felt like it was so well done. But what did you guys think for the intro?
I can start, Dendrie, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts too. For the opening, it was very interesting because when we had originally, it was originally on paper, it was this like big, huge thing, like big box store, like just very crowded, things going crazy, and we were like, once we started like really getting into the research, and we were like, we need to be quieter, we need to be more simple, like we want it to feel like it's like you just needed to go to the store, like you just, we're hearing like people are in a nail salon and someone comes in, people are at a country, in Vegas. It's like someone just picks an activity that they're going to do, just being a human in this world, and like it, and so that's kind of how we made it simple and chose a grocery store. And at the time, there had been no grocery store shootings. So we thought about that, and we're like, but it could happen. And so it was interesting that just a few weeks ago it did, and has happened, a few months ago as well. But we really did a lot of research into just even like the gunshots that you hear and how you hear them and where you hear them. And so we spent a lot of time trying to get it right.
I wasn't a part of that scene, but watching it, no, I really loved the way that was handled, that we didn't see any of the bloodshed, but we got the terror of what it would feel like to be in that store and hear those sounds, and especially you being escorted out and, just having to hear it by, overhear it and not know what's happening, that helpless feeling, because I think as a country, we all, not all of us, but many of us feel helpless in light of this new reality. And I was telling Brit that I had done a film some years back before the Boston bombing, where it was about a backpack bombing in a mall, and I was the mom, like her, outside. And once the real life events started happening in the news, before the film came out paralleling it, there were all these thoughts of, is this now too late within me, or does this help in the sense of telling the story? But my experience over the past 10 years since then is more and more and more unexpected and unimaginable events continued. So this one, especially because of the way I feel you guys handle the violence, is just a part of an ongoing stream of violent events we've been having, and the similarity of how the grief is afterwards with everything that happens in this kind of tragedy, or in many kinds of tragedies, is the same now as it will be next week, as it will be next month, and then next year and on. So to me, the film is really focused on that process after that initial event, I thought.
Yeah, and I think because it's so, unfortunately, so common, we don't really have to see it, right? Like, so it's kind of nice to start the movie in the way that, yes, you're hearing things and you're seeing things, but we already know what's going on. But it's very rare to see what's happening for the people that are running out, or for the people that are stuck, or if someone runs back in. We don't get that view. So I thought it was so well done that you see, and then they hold it on you, like, or on Ashley in particular, in her face, you know, like standing there, like, do I go in? Do I not go in? Am I stuck here? Do I stay here? What do I do? And people are running by, and like, you know, your husband takes off in there. And so that's the part we don't see. And I feel like that was a major focus of this film, was showing the long term. What happens after the cameras leave? What happens after people stop talking about the latest story, right? That, you know, this had happened. So I thought it was so well done in the beginning, and so well done throughout the film. For both of you, what were some of your favorite things about your characters? Because this film is such a re-emergence of what happens after the fact. And we've never really, I feel like, touched on it deeply enough. And this film spends the whole time talking about that. So what are your favorite things about your characters for that?
What I loved about Ashley was she was messy. It wasn't what you think. Oh, if you put yourself through something and you're like, oh, how would I be? Oh, I would never do that. I would never, like, you know, meet a guy in a bar and like drink a little bit, and like that happened, you know, a month after. It's like, but like when you go through something so devastating, you really don't know what road and how. And so I remember reading it and being like, how it would, like, it really would. And then I would start reading stories, and I did a lot of research through family stories and people who've lost someone. And there was this one story I had read, and it was from the Vegas shooting, and the lady was speaking, and she wrote just like a beautiful, I don't know, online, like you could just read it about her life afterwards, and had a relationship and felt very weird about it, and this, that. And I just was like, oh, this is real. And so I related to the small, different, like, journeys Ashley took within the big journey that got her to kind of figure out what path should be, like, she should go down, right? So that's the long way of explaining that I liked that it was messy and that there was no right way, and it's a long road. And that's the long answer for your question.
I loved that I didn't know what to do as a mom in this situation. There was no playbook of what to do in all of the different stages that Ashley was going through. And I think it's kind of encapsulated in the way the way that you cut the scene where we were against the refrigerator, and I'm listening and I'm trying to give love. And the one line I have is not the one line I have, but the one line that popped out to me is, I say, I don't know what to do. And I feel like I wouldn't probably know what to do in that circumstance as the parent of someone going through it, because what can you say? And I feel like it's also, from my point of view, how I feel as a human in this society. I don't know what to do. And I think, it's just, I tried to do the things you're supposed to, as the character, you're supposed to do: make the food, have the wake, be there for my daughter. And she makes some very, unexpected choices, like with Billy, like, that I just didn't have the tools to navigate as a character. And I love that, being in the unknown. And I loved working with Brit in every scene, and especially that scene, because it was so, I don't know, elliptical in a way.
It's so beautiful, because it is true. I think neither of your characters really have a path, right? There is no answer. There's no book that can help you get through this. And what's interesting is both of you individually, I feel like, don't know what to do and kind of are figuring it out. And then also as mother and daughter, there are times where the two of you kind of like hit each other, like go against each other. And then there are other times where it's very clear that you both need each other to kind of move forward. And then on top of all of that, they add in this, I was like you guys aren't going through enough. They added this horrible element that John has a twin brother, which is even more of like this, like, I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know what I would have done. And, for Ashley, in that moment when you go in the room And so it took me a second, and I was like, wait, why? And I was like, oh my God, they look alike. And I was like, oh my God, it's the same actor. And like, it took me a minute to realize that why she like took off, that she had to like walk out of that room. So there's so much to relate to. And I think you guys do such a great job of that. There is no path. So it's like just watching you guys kind of try to like figure it out together. What was it like? I know obviously you kind of spoke about it already, but working together, because there are scenes that are like a little tough to watch between the two of you in particular, because of kind of how you're both handling it or trying to work through it. So were those scenes more difficult, or was it easier to do, you know, the, I wouldn't say happier scenes, but maybe the scenes that were a little less dramatic? Like what was better for you guys as actors?
Dendrie was a joy to work with just as an actor. I think when you think of acting, you want someone like Dendrie to be your scene partner, just because you're creating something that you bring to the table, and you want to be as real as possible, and you want to find something electric in the moment. And that's all she kind of wanted to do as well. And so I felt like we were in it together as like a team, trying to just make something. And so I just thought she was a joy to work with.
Well, likewise. And I would say that kind of freedom we had together, to not be in any way like a Hallmark mom and daughter, in the sense of just like, what is real? What would you really be feeling in this moment? And we had a lot of freedom, and we did improvise a bit around the text, and then came back to the text just to start a scene before the scene started, and to end a scene after a scene ended. And that way we lived a little bit more. And even there was the scene where you were banging on the door to get in, and I'm observing. And then when you came back, I was going, just get him out of there. You know, we had something that's not in the movie, but that was a continuing life of how it might feel. And I have a daughter, and I love my daughter more than life itself. I love her. She just came back, and she's, you know, a teenager, just came back from college. And not every moment, you know, are moms and daughters always nice to each other. You know? And I liked that we had the ability to realize that in this. It's like sometimes everything's great and we're loving, and sometimes we really don't agree. And I don't like the way you know, my daughter in this movie is behaving, but we all try to do our best. But underneath it all, I really felt like the love. I love, let me say one more thing. I loved that scene where you come in the kitchen and I'm rubbing your back and I move your hair away, because it's so, as a mom and you have kids, I'm talking to Brit now, as Brit, that feeling of how you comfort your baby.
Yeah.
And just that I'm going to rub your back until you can fall asleep is so much like that muscle memory from parenting your young child, that then when they're an adult with their whole life already happening, it just kind of doesn't go away. So there were a lot of those little things that I felt that Brit and I were creating together. And she's so talented that it was really easy.
In terms of the film as a whole, it is still hopeful, and there's still promise to it, especially, you know, towards the end of the film. And I won't, you know, give away everything, but there's a lot of hope there and a lot of progress being made. So I wanted to hear from both of you kind of how you feel in terms of the ending and how it was handled, and the content, because it's a very stressful movie and it's dealing with very hard things, but to be able to add a shine of hope in it, I feel like could come off weird or be awkward. And it was just perfect. It was just so well, beautifully done, how it was shot, how you guys acted in it. And it just felt like everything's gonna be okay. Like they're all gonna, like it's gonna be all right at some point. So I wanted to ask both of you about that. And then also, just I guess my last question probably, why you'd recommend, people to see this film, because I do think it's really important maybe to watch it more than once, because there's a lot of things in there that you might not catch the first time.
Yeah. For your first question about the ending, I think the glimmer of hope is what anyone in a situation like this needs. And this is a darker subject kind of throughout the whole movie. And we felt that we wanted an audience to have some sort of hope, but also not give them exactly how they're supposed to feel. Just make your own ending after you see what we've given you, but we haven't told you anything. And that felt like everyone sitting through this movie and watching it would like that. And your second question, why I would want people to see this movie. I think it deals with something very human, not political. It deals with like what we all go through, which is we all have some sort of loss in our life. We all have some sort of grief. And in these circumstances, this is how we're watching it, but it is a universal thing. And I would love for people to see this movie to know that it's not just the victims that we lose. There's more numbers to it. It's their families. It's their families' families. It's those people who struggle. And I don't think a lot of movies show a simple just film like ours that just kind of a day in the life of a family that once that 24-hour news cycle is over, what happens to these people? And that's what, I would love for people to see.
Yeah. I'm going to just focus on the second part because I forgot what the first question was. What was it? What was the first part? Okay. Well,
it was about it being hopeful.
Oh, yes. Well, I think that ties into the reason to see it, because I think whenever we have a big loss or grief, part of the way you get up again is trying to find something and some purpose of how to be hopeful. And I want to echo everything Brit said about why to see it and how it affects the people around, not only the people around, but the entire community of people. I have a cousin in Sandy Hook, and her kids, they went to Sandy Hook Elementary, and one of her daughter's friends was one of the victims, and she wasn't in that grade, but she was there. And my cousin, who's a singer, sang at 9 funerals within 2 weeks. And what happened to all of their friends and their community, not just the immediate, but like what Brit was saying, the spillover into an entire town, into an entire culture that we're living with, I think is the reason to go and see this film and appreciate and hopefully find that glimmer of purpose and hope, because people have done it and survived these things in so many different ways. And we see examples of that in the people that are public about it. But I think privately, all the people that are the ancillary victims find something, some sort of purpose. So I'm really happy to be a part of it and really proud of Brit.
You guys are like a true mother-daughter. It's so cute. Or sisters, I should say sisters. It was so well done. And just congratulations. It's so good. And the performances between the two of you are just the best I've seen in a long time.
Oh, that is so kind. Thank you so much. Isn't that really sweet?
Yes, it's very sweet. Will you be our sister too?
Yeah, of course. I would love to hang out with you guys. I was so excited to see you guys. I was like, I need an hour with them, because I would ask you guys a million questions, and I've followed like your careers, and Dendrie, I've watched you in so many things. I love you. And I was so excited for Brit. I've seen you in a bunch of stuff. So I was like, yes, I can't wait. So yeah, I was definitely going to ask for like much more time, but I'm like, I'll drive them crazy asking them a million questions. But you guys are just so good. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Now I have my sister, so I will bother you on social.
All right.
Congratulations. I'm so excited.
Thanks again.
Thank you for listening to Silence on Set podcast. My name is Monica Gleberman. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more interviews to come.